No ABS, no traction control, no outside door handles, no roll-up windows, no airbags, just a 400 horsepower truck engine shoved into a fiberglass body that weighed less than a Honda Civic. This is the story of the Dodge Viper, and it should never have existed. 1992. Chrysler Corporation is bleeding money. They're building minivans and K-cars. Safe, boring, dying. The accountants are running the company into the ground. And then, in a basement engineering lab in Detroit, a small group of engineers decides to build something completely insane. Something that would kill you if you weren't careful. They called it the Viper. The press called it the Widowmaker. Here's what you need to understand. This wasn't a car designed by a committee. It wasn't focus grouped. It wasn't refined by safety engineers or lawyers or marketing departments. The Viper was built by rebels who hated corporate oversight. And the man who greenlit it was Bob Lutz, a vice president who flew fighter jets in his spare time and thought American cars had become too soft, too safe, too European. Lutz wanted something raw, something that scared you, something that reminded you that driving could be dangerous. So he called Carroll Shelby, the same Carroll Shelby who built the Cobra in the 1960s, the same man who turned Ford's GT40 into a Le Mans killer. Shelby was 70 years old. He'd had a heart transplant. He was supposed to be retired. But Lutz asked him one question. Can you build me a modern Cobra? And Shelby said yes. They started with a truck engine, not a sports car engine, a truck engine, the 8-liter V10 from the Dodge Ram pickup. It made 400 horsepower and 450 pound-feet of torque. It weighed 600 pounds. It was massive. It was absurd. And it was perfect. Because the whole point of the Viper was excess. The whole point was to go back to the 1960s philosophy of automotive design. Forget technology. Forget computers. Just take a giant engine and put it in the lightest body you can build. The body was fiberglass. No steel, no crumple zones, no side impact beams. If you crashed this car, you were done. The doors didn't have outside handles. You had to reach inside through the open window to pull a latch. And if the windows were up, you couldn't get in. Chrysler didn't care. They said if you own a Viper, you're not the kind of person who locks your doors. There was no roof, not a convertible top, not a targa panel, nothing. If it rained, you got wet. Chrysler eventually added a makeshift soft top and removable side curtains, but they were an afterthought. The Viper was meant to be driven with the wind in your face and nothing between you and the sky. It was a roadster in the purest, most primitive sense of the word. And the driving experience? Brutal. The V10 sat in front of you like an angry animal. The gearbox was a 6-speed manual with a clutch so heavy it felt like a leg press. The steering was heavy and direct. The brakes had no ABS. There was no traction control, no stability control, no electronic nannies to save you from yourself. If you floored it in second gear, the rear tires would light up and the car would try to kill you. And that was the point. The automotive press lost their minds. Motor Trend called it a return to the golden age of American muscle. Road and Track said it was the most exciting car they'd ever tested. Car and Driver put it on the cover and wrote that the Viper proved American engineers could still build something world-class. But they also said it was terrifying. They said it required skill, respect, concentration, because if you made a mistake, the Viper would not forgive you. And people died, not in huge numbers, but enough that the car earned its reputation. Drivers who thought they could handle 400 horsepower found out they couldn't. The car would snap sideways in the rain. It would spin out on cold tires. It would bite you if you weren't paying attention. And the internet filled up with crash videos. Vipers wrapping around telephone poles, Vipers backwards into ditches, Vipers on fire. The Widowmaker lived up to its name. But here's the thing, the Viper wasn't a failure. It was a legend. Chrysler only expected to sell a few thousand units. They sold over 6,000 in the first 2 years. Celebrities bought them. Jay Leno bought one. Arnold Schwarzenegger bought one. The car became a cultural icon. It appeared in video games. It appeared in movies. It became a symbol of American automotive insanity. Raw power, no compromise, no apologies. Chrysler kept building it for 25 years. They refined it. They added ABS. They added traction control. They made it faster, more powerful, more sophisticated. But they never lost the core philosophy. The Viper was always a car that could kill you. And people loved it for that. Because in the 1990s, the automotive world was splitting into two philosophies. The American philosophy said more power, bigger engines, brute force. The Viper embodied that. 8 liters, 10 cylinders, 450 horsepower, and eventually, in later models, 640 horsepower. It proved that there is no replacement for displacement. It was the American way. But in Japan, engineers tried to prove the opposite. They tried to make 500 horsepower from an engine the size of a keg of beer. They used a revolutionary rotary design, a spinning triangle that defied conventional physics. It was beautiful, it was fast, and it was doomed to fail. Click here to see why the rotary engine was a physics problem that couldn't be solved.